Hello, hello. This is Sizwe podcast. My name is Patricia, and today I am with my co-host Agnes.
Thank you. Hello, this is Agnes, and today is just the two of us. We are going to have fun. There's something that's so common between the two of us. One, we are all immigrants, and some of the things that's really bothered us when we came to Canada, what most of you will call cultural shock. And since people have not stopped coming to Canada, I think this conversation that we are going to have, it's going to help one or two people when you are here and you are new. Patricia.
And you know, in our culture, Agnes, in Africa, we are communal. We live with other people.
Yes.
And now you pack your things and you come to this country and you find that you are alone.
Very well. Yes. So that is your cultural shock.
Yeah.
Yes.
For me to be alone, because when I came, I was by myself.
Yes.
I didn't have any friends. I was alone. I didn't realize that until I had my apartment. Now I'm in this apartment.
With your bags?
With my bags. Likely I had a roommate.
Oh, okay.
But I really knew this roommate.
Yeah.
So now I'm living by myself, although we started cooking together, but in reality, you are alone.
Alone. So, Patricia, that is her first cultural shock. And I also want to say, like she said, I came here with my 2 suitcases. And even at the airport, somebody came looking for me with my name, Agnes, written on the card. So that is how I also came. And then I was taken into this home where, like, you are in the midst of so many people, but you feel that you are not part of the family because of where I come from. So these are some of the feelings that both of us had. But today we are going to go deeper. When we talk about cultural shock, for me, the first thing was the cold. and I'm not lying. I got here in May. Mm-hmm. And when everybody meets you, they will say, wow, what a beautiful day. What a beautiful weather. And me, I was wearing tuque, mittens, snow pants. Like, wow. I was really packed because even in May, the temperature, what they said was beautiful and good and sunny, was still very, very, very cold. +2.
+2.
And people were in shorts and they were running up and down. And I was like, so the weather, there's no way anybody could have explained how +2 felt like or how -25 felt like. And that was my biggest cultural shock, the weather.
And in Africa, you know, our winters are like 14.
I don't even have winter where I come from. That is, so you
there's no winter in Ghana?
Yeah, very good. So you even knows the word winter. I didn't. In my country, there are 2 seasons. Mm-hmm. There's the wet season and the dry season. So the wet season starts in April, where it starts raining, the mushrooms come, the greens, we plant all our crops. And it rains from late March all the way till about September. It's all rain like Vancouver weather. It rains mostly every other day or every day, and sometimes throughout the day.
Wow.
And then the dry season starts from late November to the next year, March, where it's rains sporadically. Then sometimes around December, January, it stops and it gets drier. And that is when they say the Harmattan season. The air become more drier, your lips get patchy, your skin get drier. But that was all I knew.
Wow.
I don't know winter.
You know, in Zimbabwe, our winters are like 14 degrees. 15 degrees, that's when it's cold.
It's cold,
and
yes.
That season starts in May, June. July is mostly windy. Oh. June is cold.
Wow.
So even the winters...
You had an idea of what winter is. I didn't.
Wow.
Very good. Guys, if you just join us, this is Sizwe Podcast. My name is Agnes. Today, me and my co-host Patricia, we are taking it away. The reason being that there are certain things happen to us when we arrived in Canada, which they call it cultural shock. And today we are talking about some of them. We may not be able to exhaust all the points that I listed here, but I think it's worth listening. If you have any other thing for us to talk about when we meet like this, you can put it under our show, and then we can talk about it. So let me start with this, Patricia. So beside the weather, for me personally, one of the things, I think you started with that, is our communal living. So I can, in every community that I lived, I could count about 5 or 6 people around me that I know their names. I meet them every morning, and I greet them. I smile at them. I know the names of their kids. So, and it's not like I lived in my own family home until I traveled. I was a teacher. I had been transferred to 2 or about 5 different towns before I left Ghana. But the moment I settle in a community, there's that kind of people who come together, who knows me from my school, from my church, from the family and the houses around. It doesn't take me a month for me to know.
To have a family, yes, to build that connection, and to have people that you can rely on for
Very
things.
good.
But then you come here, and now you are by yourself.
Yes.
You don't know your neighbor.
Yes.
You don't know anybody else. It's just you.
Yeah.
And if you're calling people who are in Africa, people maybe you could have relatives in the States, you could have relatives in the UK, but you don't have anyone here.
Yes. Your next door neighbor, you don't even, I felt like, I can't even, because when I say hi to people, they don't even look at me. They just walk.
Yeah, sometimes if they are decent, they will say hi.
Yes.
Sometimes they look at you
They look
weird.
at you, yes.
And they're like, and then, but the good thing in Montreal, when
you arrived in Montreal.
I arrived in Montreal.
I arrived here in Edmonton and was taken from the airport straight to Beaumont. And guys, okay.
And Beaumont, how many black people did you see?
That is what I was going to say. You know, my employer used to say, "Oh, Agnes, there used to be this black family in our church. I don't know where they are. Maybe when they come, you will see a black person." That is how needy I was to see a black person when I arrived in Canada.
You know, in Montreal, we were so many as black people, and we used to live in the same area.
Oh, okay.
Within a year, I moved to Alberta.
And then
I appreciated Montreal just for seeing somebody like me. And then here, because I wasn't driving, if I saw somebody in a bus who's like me, I'll be like, hi!
It's true. So that is some of our cultural shock when we came here. And I think I want to touch on lifestyle. Cultural shock for me, I don't know what happened to you, but for me, you know, there's this saying that travel and see. So in my community, there are certain lifestyles that really people frown upon. The issue about smoking. So in my country, and those of you who comes from my country knows that people who smoke in my country doesn't really matter in life. That is how we look at them. Yeah. So if you are somebody who is a chain smoker, or you smoke, or you do this, you are in the group of people who have really fallen down the cracks. And that is how I look at you back home. So imagine my shock when I came here, and in my own church parking lot, I saw people smoking, and those people are from my church, and I'm not lying. So I'm looking at, like, why are those people smoking in the church parking lot? I go to school premises, and I go to downtown, people who are wearing suits, looking so good in a suit that I cannot afford. They have left their offices, and they are standing behind the high-rising building in downtown here in Edmonton, smoking.
And
I got confused. I'm like, okay, what kind of lifestyle is this? Why are things that I thought we have pushed it way behind the back burner happening here? Remember, I came from a country, and I thought I'm coming to a first world. To see that was the biggest cultural shock to me. And with no offense, people, that is how I felt when I saw people that I respected smoking, and even high school teachers smoking. What?
And in the winter, they will go outside and stand. It doesn't matter how cold it is.
They were not cold.
They would rather go out there and smoke. And, you know, those are some of the things that we don't realize as Africans, that our culture, sometimes we have these things that we overlook.
Yes.
But our people don't smoke as much.
No, I was shocked.
While in Zimbabwe, we plant tobacco.
Oh, you plant tobaccos?
Yes.
Oh, so at least for you...
we make money.
You make money, but the people don't smoke like the way I saw it.
No, they don't.
They
but,
don't.
But at the same time, we plant tobacco. And we sell it to these countries.
Yes.
And for you to realize that, wow.
Yes.
People smoke like crazy.
Yes, I was shocked, Patricia. So that is one of the lifestyles. And it's maybe different here. And let me tell you one funny thing. I tell people, when you go to my country, one of the things that will shock you is the way we glorify funerals. Have you seen those watch how Ghanaians do our funerals?
Wow.
We glorify it. For us, we respect the 4 rites of passage. The day you are born, the day you change from a child to an adult, that is the puberty rite. The day you get married, but the day you die, my goodness, you will enjoy being there. And I think people look at
who didn't like you when you were alive, they celebrate.
Oh my God, we buy clothes, we set up dates, we put you in a morgue and prepare. So we don't bury people like you die 3-4 days or 1 week. We bury you. We put you in a morgue for sometimes 10 years, preparing for just a funeral. So that is what will shock a lot of you when you go to my country. So if I'm talking about my cultural shock here, you should understand that, like that, when you see it in Ghana, have you seen the poor burials in my country? When they are going to bury
they dressed up.
They dress up and they put the coffin on their shoulders and they dance. Sometimes they crawl and the coffin is on them and you will never fall down. Try.
But you know, when talking about death, the one thing that will surprise you, when I came to Edmonton, a few months later, I lost my sister. That was a time when I felt alone.
Yes.
Do you know that back home, when you lose a loved one, you have people around you.
Oh, they will actually vote somebody to come and sit with you. So that to help you mourn and help it like feed you, like take you to the bathroom, like do everything so that you can manage the grieving.
Yes.
So how did you go through that in this where you don't even know your next door neighbor?
I didn't even know my next door neighbor. I had a friend that I was living with. She was busy working also.
Definitely.
Because here you had to work. And here I was crying by myself.
Oh, no shoulder.
That was the time when I felt like, what am I doing here?
Yes.
Why am I even here?
Oh.
And at that moment, I considered going back home. And my sisters were like, please don't come back. It's going to be okay. Please stay. I didn't even stay home during that time.
You were working.
I wanted to go home to forget. And you just tell people, people here, they react to death differently than we do.
That's what I'm saying. Like you are given a 3 days from work to mourn. And I think you have to be able to finish all your morning in 3 days. That is one of my cultural shock too. And it's not like back home where people are thronging your home back and forth, coming to greet you, cooking for you, and bringing you stuff. Things that make communal living so enjoyable during those moments.
And if anyone is planning on going overseas, or some way, be prepared for those things.
Yes.
You might go through things by yourself.
Lonely. You can't sit under the tree and play cards.
And don't expect to have a neighbor giving you something or asking for something. You might not even know them. They might not decide to speak to you.
At all. Sometimes I feel so guilty when I'm like, so how many people do I know in my lane here?
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the things that has helped me, especially when you have kids knows no boundary.
Yeah.
My kids jump into people's home. They will throw a ball into somebody's home. Something will happen for the kids to bring the two of you together, or maybe a pet.
Mm-hmm. You know, our life changed when we started having kids, because now they were playing with these next door neighbors.
And then you say hi.
Yeah, and then they'll be like, hi. And it was a new neighborhood, so with young kids all over.
Very good, yeah.
So that really helped us. But before, life was so lonely.
Yes.
And we used to live in an apartment.
That's worse.
I don't even remember the names of our neighbors there.
Or even the apartment manager.
You know the apartment manager alone.
That's
sometimes.
all. Yeah. That's the way you go pick your keys. So that was it. You really feel like you have been taken from this community where you know everybody's name, everybody along down there the streets, at the outskirts of the town, the police officer, the school teacher, and then you are here, and now you can't like I don't know if I know names of my next 3 door neighbors. As at now, I know the 2. That's at least for them we say hi because they also have kids.
You know, one thing that devastated me the most, I have these neighbors. They had an elderly father. I would see this man was sick, and then all the time, and then that guy passed on during winter time. They didn't say that, oh, our father has passed on. Oh. It was later during summer, and I'm like, how is your father? He says, oh, my father passed on.
That person cannot live in Ghana. He spoiled the funeral. Oh my goodness.
And I'm like, wow, this is Canada.
This is, so chase them. And then maybe the family they know, and the family is, like, I think somebody said that here, your neighbor is not your next door neighbor. Your neighbor is somebody you know who may live distance away from your home. So when you have birthdays, it is not the people around you who come to your home for the birthday, except you know them. You have people coming from different places in your home to celebrate with you, whilst your next door neighbor, especially when you live in an apartment, the distance between your door and that person's door is just like this. You may not even know that person
lives there.
Cannot even invite that people to your events.
And Agnes, you didn't have kids here. Your kids
came. No, I came here 6 years before my kids came.
And then when they came here, they were older.
Yes.
Whereas I had kids here.
Okay.
You know, the one thing that frustrated me the most with kids, if I had to go pick up something as small as salt or milk,
you can't.
And I have to pick both kids. It's winter time.
Yes.
You have to wake the other one up if they are sleeping. Let's go to the shops. You can't leave your
kids at home. Now you bring this issue to me, like one of my cultural shock, and I want to say a big thank you to my employer who brought me here, because I did what you just said. When I came here to be a nanny. So for me, I'm an African child. I think everything is like that. And so in the afternoon, Lauren was sleeping, and I left her to go to the post office to pick mails.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine? I locked the door and I went. So when I came back, Heather was home. I saw that she was angry. She said, Agnes, where did you go? I'm like, oh, I went to the post office with Lauren alone in the house. Then in my head, I'm like, what is wrong with that?
Yeah.
It was late. So we had a talk. She was really furious. You can't do that. It is not allowed. You can't lock the kid. What about if there's... And she's talk. By then, I was still not sure why she was so mad, because she was still sleeping when I came back. And I thought, but it was later that I realized that, hey, there are so many rules around leaving kids alone that you cannot. It's like a no. And that was when I realized that lady was so gracious to me, and she let that case go. Because it like when I began to understand the system here, I started my own day home and I read some of the materials. I'm like, oh, that's why Heather was so mad that day, and then let it lie.
And being scared for your kids to go out, maybe they could take a walk. they always have to be with an adult.
Yes.
You know, back home you
Oh,
go,
yeah,
and,
go and
play,
play and come.
And we were not bothered. You know, we take a lot of things for granted when we are in Africa.
Yes.
That our neighbor is your keeper.
Yeah. In my language, Shemi, me banus mami, please watch my house for me. I'll be back soon.
Yes, I'll be back soon. Oh, my baby is sleeping. I'm just going to pick some milk over there.
You can't do it here. So those are some of the cultural shock. Guys, if you just join us, I know some of you watching us are new immigrants here in Canada or in Edmonton. There are so many things that will surprise you. And one of the things that I'm going to say will surprise you. And I use it more often in my program because it happened to me. That is my personal space.
Yes.
You know, I had no idea what people mean by my personal space because in my country, I will say it in my language. That means that we bump into each other, you fall down and you take your bag and go. Nobody cares about what happens. So I came here, still in Beaumont. I went to the bank and I was standing behind this lady. And then she turned and looked at me and said, "Lady, can you move back a little bit? This is my bubble." So, okay, I moved back. Then I went home and I asked Heather, what is the meaning of "this is my bubble"? And she says, "Welcome to Canada." And she explained to me that there's this invisible line that people have around them. That is the space that they feel comfortable. So when you burst into that space, they feel uncomfortable. And that is why the lady asked me, because she doesn't know me. And I'm like, oh, okay. And it was a very good lesson. We talk at length about it. And so now when I have kids in my program who are new to Canada, I begin to teach them that in Canada there's something called my personal space. And even when COVID came, I used it. That is the reason why in Canada our numbers were very low. Because each of us have a personal
space. Yeah, you can't invade my space.
You can't invade my space.
You have to be conscious. So stand back.
Yes. She told me that.
Even when you are going to visit me, tell me you're going to come. Make an appointment.
Can you imagine?
Just show up.
So I am an African child. So me, when I begin to know people, when I came to Edmonton, I could just walk, and you realize that people are not welcoming because you didn't call them.
You know, one day I was offended.
Oh, you went.
You know how me and my husband had these friends.
Yes.
Me, I thought we are friends. We're both from Zimbabwe.
Yes.
And then, for some reason, my husband said, "Let's go and see this guy." And okay, go together? Yeah. We go. And when we got there, the lady said, "How come you just show up without calling?"
Can you imagine? This is Canada.
No, this is not a Canadian.
No, I know.
This is a person from...
They have been culturalized.
Yes.
Now they understand the Canadian culture. And you don't. So you should give a call.
And I was like, huh? And I said to my husband, "I'm not going back to that house."
I bet now you are practicing that too.
I don't do that, but but I was taken aback. It took me time to understand.
Yes.
But do you think, as a people, should we have that kind of a culture, or we should live the way we used to live?
I think the system here doesn't allow us to live the way we should live, to tell you the truth. Because they say when you go to Rome, do what
is the Romans do.
Very good. So here, they have tried certain things and they want to live the way they want to live. So if we come and burst into their bubble, they will find a way to tune us up.
Yeah.
Until we learn to be like that. But like as blacks or as immigrants, there's that culture of enjoying that communal living which we crave. And if some of us open ourselves up, then we'll be able to ensure that. I have few friends that sometimes I say, "Oh, this house is a party house."
Yeah.
Yeah, there are few friends that I could just...
You could just show up.
Show up in their house, and they would never... And I have friends that I know I cannot mess up around them. And I respect those ones too.
Yeah, I guess it's getting to know people. This is what I'm supposed to do. And getting to know your friends.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, when you come to that point where you know who I can just show up,
Yes,
who I
and
can't
who.
show up.
No,
Now
back
that we have
home,
our communities
very good.
here,
We
it's
should do
different.
that, yeah. But back home, I think we look at a lot of our friends in the same lens.
Yeah.
But there's something of that we cannot do here.
Mm-hmm.
You really have to have people in compartments. There are
Yes.
people that you call to cry with. I have a friend who always called me and said, yeah, how is your mental health today? And then I said, oh, I'm fine. Where are you? I said, I'm in my car. She said, okay, now we can talk.
Yeah.
So there are people that you can call to cry with. There are people that you can just walk into their house and hey, but there are people who are still important to you that you need to observe these protocols when you want to walk into their house. And that is some of the cultural shock. And we are sharing them because if you are new, you are going to have some of these challenges. But before we go, there's something that I think we couldn't exhaust this point, but there's something that I want to say, and I think maybe you can add one of them. One of the things that really shocked me is this same inward culture of being in a community that I lost when I came here, and it surprised me. There's the Canadians, most of them, and I know I have had a lot of interaction with some of them, and it's true. When you are in a project together or you work together with them, they talk to you, they treat you like very, very nice. The day they leave the job or you leave the job and you meet them outside, they don't know you. And it for me,
it's something else.
They don't know you. You can even say hi and they walk past you. And I was like, but I was working with this lady.
Yeah.
And I met her at the food court and she didn't even talk to me. And I was, And then this question came up when I was doing my project management course at NATE. And I brought it up to the professor and he said, yes, when we are doing a project together, it is because our interest is in this sport. And that's why we are working on it. That's why I call in the evening to check on you and see when we are done that project, we are done. There's no extension of relationship in the Canadian culture.
I've seen that. Even the people that you work with, you work at a place with people.
Yes.
The day you leave that position, you go somewhere, they don't know you.
They don't.
Even if you used to call each other and talk, from there on,
it's done.
It's done. I'm moving to a different place.
Yes.
You can call them. Sometimes you realize that you'll be the one calling them. You call, and you're like, am I bothering this person?
Yeah, my professor said when they finish with you, there's no extension of the relationship. I'm like, wow, that is my shock.
But back home, that's when we form good friendships.
Yes, I know people that I used to teach with since 1992 up to today. If we have when Facebook came, we've reconnected and we're still talking. No, I didn't see that here.
But now that we have Facebook, do you communicate with some of these people, these colleagues on Facebook, the ones that are not from Africa?
They are part of my friends, and they are just there to add to the numbers. I think we've exhausted our time here. I don't know if you want to add something, but yeah, I think this is something that we need because their list is exhaustive. Yes.
And if you want to come overseas, it's very nice. You can get opportunities, but this land can be lonely.
I tell you.
It can be lonely.
It will shock you, especially if you like funerals like we the people from Ghana. Nobody's going to celebrate you when you die. Thank you so much. My name is Agnes, and this is Sizwe Podcast. And today, I did it with
Patricia.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.